My name is Maria Santos and I died, my body broken, my heart stopped in a horrifying crash on Manila's chaotic streets. As life slipped away, I stood face to face with Jesus, and what he unveiled tore my soul apart. Our world is suffocating under corruption, greed, and lies. Politicians stealing from the poor rivers, poisoned families, crushed by a system that doesn't care. It's a darkness choking us all from Quiapo slums to the world beyond. But in his radiant love, Jesus showed me hope. We can rise, we can heal if we dare to act. This truth he entrusted to me, a nobody from Quezon City will haunt you, shake you, and demand your courage. Are you ready to hear what the world's been hiding? This isn't just a story, it's a wake-up call for your soul. Listen closely because what comes next could change everything you believe and everything you do. My name is Maria Santos, a 32-year-old office clerk scraping by in the crowded streets of Manila. Life was a grind, waking up at 5 a.m. In a tiny apartment, the hum of jeepneys outside my window and a breakfast of instant coffee and pandesal. I'd hop on my beat-up motorbike, dodging potholes and traffic to get to a job that paid just enough for rent and bills. My office was a pressure cooker, endless paperwork, a boss who pocketed bonuses meant for us, and whispers of bribes to keep the higher-ups happy. Corruption wasn't just on the news, it was in the air we breathed from city officials to my workplace. I felt trapped, like no matter how hard I worked, the system was rigged against people like me. My sister Anna, a nurse, would text me to hang in there, but I could hear the exhaustion in her voice too. My best friend, Lito, a jeepney driver, joked about striking it rich someday, but his eyes told a different story. We were all just surviving, dreaming of a better life, while the rich got richer. I'd pray at night, asking God why the poor always got the short end of the stick, but answers never came. The unfairness gnawed at me. Why did honest work lead to nothing but struggle? That morning felt heavier than usual. The sky hung low, gray, and thick, like Manila was holding its breath. I grabbed my helmet, kissed a small crucifix on my wall for luck, and headed out. My mind was a mess. Unpaid electric bills, a co-worker's story about her kid going hungry, and the sting of my boss yelling at me for questioning overtime pay. I was so lost in thought, weaving through traffic on EDSA, that I didn't see the truck until it was too late. It happened in a heartbeat, a blaring horn, a flash of metal, and then impact. My motorbike skidded tires screeching like a scream. Pain exploded in my chest, sharp and suffocating, as I flew off and hit the pavement hard. Glass from my visor shattered, cutting into my face. Blood pooled under me, warm and sticky. I heard people shouting, a woman crying, and sirens wailing in the distance, but it all blurred into a distant echo. My lungs fought for air, each breath weaker than the last. The world slowed, colors fading to gray. I wasn't scared though, just tired, so tired. Then the pain stopped. A strange calm wrapped around me, like a warm blanket on a cold night. My worries, bills, my boss, the unfairness of it all slipped away. I felt light-free, as if I'd shed every burden I'd ever carried. That's when I knew I was dying. The moment my body hit the pavement, everything changed. I wasn't in pain anymore. Instead, I felt weightless, like a leaf drifting on a quiet river, rising above the chaos of Manila's streets. Below me, I saw my broken body, blood pooling under my head. My motorbike twisted like scrap metal. Paramedics swarmed their hands, pressing my chest, shouting numbers I couldn't understand. A woman nearby clutched her rosary, sobbing prayers, while my best friend Lito shoved through the crowd, his voice cracking as he screamed, "Maria, hold on." I wanted to tell him I was okay, but no words came. It was like I'd stepped out of my life watching it unfold like a distant movie. There was no fear, only a strange detachment. The sounds of sirens, horns, and voices blended into a fading hum, swallowed by an all-encompassing silence. Then, I felt a gentle tug, not on my body but deep within my soul, pulling me upward. A light flickered in the distance, soft at first like a candle glowing through Manila's smog. As I moved toward it, it grew brighter, warmer, not blinding, but alive, pulsing with a love that felt like it knew my every thought. I wasn't walking or floating. I was being drawn, my spirit gliding effortlessly toward this radiant embrace. The light expanded into a tunnel, its walls rippling with golden and silver hues, like sunlight reflecting off the Pasig River at dawn. On both sides, shadowy figures stood, their forms shimmering like heat waves over asphalt. I couldn't see their faces, but I felt them souls, some familiar like my Lola who died when I was 10, her presence wrapping me in the same warmth she did when she'd braid my hair. Others were strangers, yet their energy hummed with connection, as if we'd shared lives across time. They didn't speak, but their thoughts reached me. "You're safe, Maria. You're home." My heart swelled tears. I couldn't cry, burning with a joy I'd never known. In Manila, I'd felt crushed by unpaid bills and unfair bosses. But here I was whole. With each step through the tunnel, my burdens lifted. The weight of my overworked days, the sting of corruption in my office, the anger at a world that favored the rich, it all dissolved, leaving me lighter than I'd ever been. At the tunnel's end, a figure stood, his form glowing with a light so pure it should have overwhelmed me, but it didn't. His presence was a tidal wave of love, yet as gentle as a mother's touch. I knew instantly this was Jesus. His eyes held every moment of my life, every sleepless night, worrying about money, every prayer whispered in Quiapo Church, every time I'd helped a coworker despite my own struggles. There was no judgment, only a compassion that saw me completely. I couldn't move my soul, trembling with awe. His smile was like the first light after a typhoon, warm and full of promise. When he spoke, his voice was soft but resonated through me like music filling an empty cathedral. "Maria, my child, you are here because I love you. You've carried the world's pain, but you were never alone. The darkness you've seen is not the end. There is light waiting for you." His words unraveled me. I'd spent years bitter about the bribes my boss took, the politicians who stole from the poor, the endless grind that left me empty. But in his presence, that bitterness faded, replaced by a longing for truth. He raised his hand, and the tunnel vanished. We stood in a realm beyond earth, where time felt meaningless, and truth was as tangible as the ground I'd left behind. My heart raced. I knew he was about to reveal something about the world's brokenness and the hope we'd forgotten. I wasn't just Maria the clerk anymore. I was part of something divine. As Jesus raised his hand, the radiant space around us shifted. The tunnel's golden glow dissolved, and I found myself standing in a vast, boundless realm, like an ocean of light and truth. Images began to form before me, vivid and alive, like paintings woven from the threads of reality itself. The first vision was of Manila, my city, but not as I knew it. I saw towering buildings owned by the elite gleaming under the sun, while slums sprawled in their shadows, families scavenging for food among piles of garbage. I saw workers like me hunched over desks or sweating in factories, their faces etched with exhaustion, earning pennies, while bosses flaunted luxury cars bought with stolen funds. Corruption wasn't just a word, it was a poison seeping into every corner of society, choking the poor and rewarding the greedy. Jesus turned to me, his eyes filled with a sorrow that pierced my heart. "Maria, look closely. My children were meant to love and lift each other, but greed has built walls between them. The powerful take what belongs to all, leaving my poorest ones to suffer." The vision shifted, and I saw the Philippines' lush forests, once vibrant with life, now scarred by illegal logging. Rivers that used to sparkle were choked with plastic and toxic waste poisoning the water families depended on. Typhoons raged fiercer than ever, flooding homes and sweeping away entire villages. I saw farmers weeping over ruined crops, their livelihoods destroyed by a climate twisted by human neglect. It wasn't just nature. It was a cry from the earth itself, begging for care. I thought of the news reports. I'd ignored the ones about mining companies bribing officials to ravage our lands. Now I couldn't look away. My heart pounded as the images grew darker. I saw people divided, rich against poor, neighbor against neighbor. In one scene, a street vendor was beaten by police for selling. Without a permit, his cart smashed his children watching in terror. In another, protesters marched for fair wages, only to be tear-gassed and arrested. The pain of my own life over time, without pay, a boss who laughed at my complaints, felt small compared to this. It was as if the whole world was fracturing each crack, fueled by lies, selfishness, and power. Jesus spoke again, his voice steady but urgent. "This is not my will, Maria. I created a world for unity, but humanity has chosen division. The lies of greed tell you to take, not give. Yet every soul is precious to me, every worker, every child, every heart you see suffering." The visions changed, showing me glimpses of hope. I saw a community in Tondo, one of Manila's poorest areas, where people shared what little they had: food, clothes, even smiles. A teacher stayed late to help students whose parents couldn't afford books. A fisherman risked his boat to save neighbors during a flood. These acts of kindness glowed like stars in the darkness, small but fierce. I realized they were the antidote to the poison I'd seen: love in action, defying the world's cruelty. But then, a chilling vision came. I saw cities crumbling under earthquakes' waves, swallowing coastal towns, and fires raging through forests. People ran screaming as skies turned red with smoke. It wasn't just the Philippines. Everywhere, the earth groaned under the weight of human mistakes. I saw wars, not with guns, but with words, and fear pitting nations against each other, rich against poor. My stomach twisted. Was this the future? Jesus placed a hand on my shoulder, his touch calming my racing heart. "Do not fear, my child. The world must face its choices, but it can be restored. The suffering you see is a warning, not an end. If my children choose love over greed, truth over lies, they will rebuild what has been broken." I wanted to ask, how could we fix a world so far gone? But before I could, another vision appeared brighter than the rest. I saw people rising up, not with anger but with purpose. Workers demanded fair pay and won. Communities planted trees, cleaned rivers, and rebuilt homes after storms. Churches, mosques, and temples stood side by side, their doors open to all. In one scene, a rich man gave his wealth to feed the hungry, his face lit with joy. The poor were no longer invisible. They were leading, teaching, healing. It was a world where love had won. Tears streamed down my face. I'd spent my life feeling powerless, but now I saw it. Every small act of kindness, every stand against injustice was a seed for this future. Jesus looked at me, his eyes shining with hope. "Maria, this is the truth. The world has forgotten you are all my children, and together you are stronger than any darkness. Plant the seeds of love, and they will grow into a new earth." My mind raced. The corruption in my office, the politicians I saw on TV, the mining companies destroying our forests. They thrived because we let them. But Jesus was showing. The visions of a broken world and its radiant hope dissolved, leaving me alone with Jesus in that boundless realm of light. His presence was a warm embrace, like the glow of a Quiapo church vigil, but a heavy question pressed on my soul. I'd seen Manila's slums, rivers choked with poison, and the greed tearing us apart. I'd glimpsed a future where love could heal it all. But why me? I was just Maria Santos, a clerk drowning in bills, invisible in a city that favored the rich. What could I possibly do? My heart quaked as Jesus gazed at me, his eyes a sea of compassion, seeing every fear I'd ever buried. He stepped closer, his light wrapping me like a mother's shawl. His voice was gentle, yet carried a power that stilled my trembling spirit. Maria, my beloved child, you've seen the world's pain and its promise. I've chosen you to carry my truth back to your people. The corruption, the suffering, it's not the end. Be my voice, my light, and show them the way to love. My breath caught. Return back to the chaos of Manila, where bosses stole wages and politicians laughed at the poor. I thought of the vision's flood swallowing homes, people fighting over scraps and panic surge. I'm nobody. I stammered my voice, barely a whisper. I'm not brave enough. No one will listen to me, Jesus. I've tried to fight unfairness before, and it only brought me pain. Memories flooded back, arguing with my boss over unpaid overtime, being ignored, feeling powerless. How could I face that again? Jesus smiled, his warmth melting my doubts like dawn, chasing away the night. He placed a hand on my shoulder, and peace flowed through me, steadying my racing heart. You are stronger than you know, Maria. I've walked with you through every tear, every struggle, and I'll walk with you now. Your voice, small as it seems, can spark a fire of change. Speak with love, and hearts will open. Trust me, for I am always with you. His words lit a flame in me, a courage I didn't know I had. I wanted to stay in this sacred place, free from pain, but his love urged me forward. I nodded, tears welling, ready to accept his call. But before I could speak, a force gripped my soul like a mighty current, pulling me backward. The light of Jesus dimmed his figure, fading into a golden haze. No, please, I cried, reaching for him, my voice echoing in the void. His voice rang out one last time, calm and eternal. Go, Maria. Carry my truth. I will never leave you. A violent jolt struck me like lightning, searing my veins. My chest heaved air, scorching my lungs. I gasped, eyes flying open to harsh hospital lights. Machines beeped frantically. Nurses shouted, and pain flooded my broken body, ribs aching, head throbbing. I was back alive, but not the same. Jesus' mission pulsed in me, a fire no fear could extinguish. I had seen the truth, and now, no matter the cost, I would speak it to the world. Waking up in the hospital felt like crashing back into a world I no longer recognized. The sterile white walls, the relentless beeping of machines, and the sharp sting of IV needles in my arm were a jarring contrast to the radiant peace I'd felt with Jesus. My body ached, bruised ribs, a bandaged head, and a heart that pounded too fast, but something deeper had shifted. I wasn't just Maria Santos, the overworked clerk, anymore. Jesus' words echoed in my soul. Be my light in the darkness. I knew I had a mission, but the weight of it terrified me. My sister Anna was at my bedside, her eyes red from crying. Maria, you're a miracle, she whispered, gripping my hand. Lito, my best friend, stood nearby, his usual jokes replaced by a quiet relief. They told me I'd flatlined for 2 minutes before the paramedics brought me back. The doctors called it luck. I knew it was Jesus. But when I tried to explain about the tunnel, the visions, his voice, their faces changed. Anna frowned, patting my hand like I was a child. You hit your head, Maria. It was probably a dream. Lito forced a smile, muttering about stress. I felt a pang in my chest. If the people closest to me didn't believe, who would? Days passed and I couldn't shake the fire Jesus had lit in me. I started sharing my story first with family, then co-workers, then at our parish in Quiapo. I spoke of the corruption I'd seen in his vision's bosses stealing from workers, politicians hoarding wealth while families starved. I talked about the dying rivers, the storms ravaging our islands, and the hope he showed me if we chose love. But the more I spoke, the more resistance I faced. My coworker Jessa rolled her eyes, whispering to others that I was crazy and chasing attention. My boss called me into his office, his voice cold. Stick to your job, Maria. This talk is bad for business. I saw the guilt in his eyes. He knew I was right about the bribes he took. The doubt hurt, but stranger things began to happen. My phone would freeze when I tried to post about my experience online. Videos I recorded vanished from my laptop, not in the trash, just gone. One night, I got a call from an unknown number, nothing but heavy breathing on the other end, before it cut off. My stomach churned. Was I imagining things? Then, as I sat alone in my apartment, the lights flickered and a shadow darted across the wall, too quick to be real. My heart raced and I clutched the crucifix on my nightstand, whispering, "Jesus, protect me." The air grew lighter, but fear lingered. Something didn't want me to speak. I could have stopped. It would have been easier to go back to my old life, keep my head down, and pretend it never happened. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, heard his voice, speak with love. So I kept going. I joined a community group in Tondo, helping families displaced by floods. We cleaned up trash, choking the local river-planted trees, and demanded the city stop illegal dumpers. I spoke at church, my voice shaky but firm, urging people to stand against corruption. Padre Miguel, our priest, was skeptical, at first calling my story unusual. But after seeing me organize food drives for slum kids, he pulled me aside. "Maria, maybe God did send you back for a reason," he said, his eyes soft. Slowly, people listened. A few co-workers joined me at rallies for fair wages, holding signs outside our office. Lito started talking to his jeepney driver friends about fighting fair cuts that favored big companies. Online, my posts began to spread. Strangers messaged me saying my words stirred something in them. "I've always felt the system was broken," one wrote. "You're right, we need to do something." It wasn't just Manila. People from Davao, Cebu, even abroad, shared stories of their own struggles with injustice. I realized Jesus' message wasn't just for me, it was for everyone. But the pushback grew darker. My email was hacked, my posts flagged and removed. One night, I found a note slipped under my door. "Stop talking or you'll regret it." My hands shook, but I remembered Jesus' promise. "I am always with you." I prayed harder, clinging to my faith. The threats scared me, but they also proved I was onto something. The corruption, the greed, the lies, they thrived in silence, and my voice was breaking that silence. I wasn't the same Maria who'd left that hospital bed. I'd been given a glimpse of truth, and it changed me forever. I didn't have all the answers, but I had a purpose to share what Jesus showed me, to fight for a world where love could win. Every step was a battle, but I wasn't alone. I felt him with me, guiding me, giving me strength to keep going, no matter what came next. I came back from death forever changed. Jesus' voice still echoes in my heart. Be my light. I faced skepticism, threats, and shadows lurking in my apartment, but I've also seen hope take root. My words, once lost in Manila's noise, are reaching hearts. Strangers online say my story woke them up. Co-workers march for fair wages. Padre Miguel now preaches about justice. But this is only the start. Jesus showed me a world teetering on the brink. Corruption, greed, and division tearing it apart. It's not just my fight, it's ours. We must choose what comes next. Look around. In the Philippines, politicians grow rich while children beg on Quiapo's streets. Factories dump poison into our rivers, and typhoons fiercer every year rip homes from the poor. I've lived it, bosses cheating workers, neighbors too angry to help each other. A system that crushes the weak. Jesus showed me the truth. This isn't how it's meant to be. He revealed a future where love wins, where communities share food, clean rivers, and stand against injustice. Every kind act, every voice raised builds that world. But we're running out of time. Dark forces are fighting back. I felt them, the hacked emails, the note under my door that read, "Stop or else." One night, my room grew cold, and a shadow loomed, its presence heavy, urging me to quit. I clutched my crucifix, praying, and it vanished. But the message was clear. The truth threatens those who profit from lies. Jesus warned of a coming storm, not just floods, but a spiritual battle. Cities could crumble, divisions could widen, fear could consume us. I've seen it in visions, red skies, people running the earth, crying out. Yet, he promised we can change it. You're not here by accident. That restlessness in your soul, that feeling the world's off, it's a call from Jesus. He didn't just give me this message, He gave it to you. Will you ignore it, drown in distractions like politics or money, or will you rise, share my story? Call out the corruption in your workplace, feed a hungry child, plant a tree, join a rally, pray with all your heart. Every choice is a seed for the future. He showed me a world where the poor lead the broken heal, and love unites us all. The enemy will try to stop you. They'll say you're too small, that one voice can't matter. But Jesus said, I am always with you. From Tondo slums to cities across the globe, people are waking up. You're one of them. This is your moment to step into your power, not with hate, but with the love He taught. Help others see the truth, because once the veil lifts, there's no turning back. I don't know how long I can keep speaking. The threats grow heavier, the shadows closer. But I won't stop. Jesus gave me a second chance, and I'm giving it everything. Now I'm begging you, join me. The battle for our world's soul is now, and every heart counts. Choose truth over lies, love over greed. Act today, share this. Speak up, love fiercely. The time is short, but together we can build the world. He dreams for us. Will you answer His call? Wake up, and let's change everything. This is Maria's story, but it's yours too. Jesus showed me a world broken by corruption, greed, and division, yet radiant with hope if we choose love. The message is clear. We're called to rise against injustice, for our rivers, for each other. Every small act, helping a neighbor, speaking truth, praying, builds the future He dreams for us. Don't let fear or doubt hold you back. You have the power to change the world, one heart at a time. Share this video to spread His truth. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that awaken your soul. Join us in this fight for love and justice. Comment below, tell us your story, and let's build a better tomorrow together. The time is now. Will you answer His call?